Well, hello one all, welcome back to the Purple Rain Podcast, and it happened again. It happened again. I mean, this off-season hasn't really properly begun yet, because us three, we don't count off-season starting until after the entry draft. Yeah, that's when we officially see off-season begin. So, we've got this year's entry draft is June 17. So the day after that, June 18, that is when off-season will properly kick in. But so far, in the last few weeks since we crowned our new World Cup champion, there's been a recurring pattern happening where you get breaking news drops literally not too long after we finish a recording session for this podcast. It's just like crazy, and I mean, obviously it just shows how the time difference between the States and the UK is a big factor. But it's like, seriously, it's like we literally just finished and then you're dropping this? And this one was a very big shock, because basically what has happened is Brian Adarsky has been let go as the head coach of the Goldeneyes, and this was a shock. Oh yeah, we did not see this coming, because you were saying like, oh, I think he's going to be coming back. Well, I kind of felt, I was under the impression of that he most likely will be back for a second season at the helm, because I don't think he didn't do that bad. I mean, okay, he did a bit of whinging and whining to the press every now and then, especially when it came to travel. But apart from that, I don't think he was the big factor as to why the Goldeneyes never reached their full potential, because you guys know how Vancouver was seen in the not just in the eyes of us three, but in the eyes of the hockey world going into the start of the season. Everyone saw the Goldeneyes as a potential threat to win the World Cup. I mean, the way that Vancouver went about building their organisation from the very bottom to the top, it was just flawless. It was the exact blueprint of what you want to do. We were trying to build a new team in the league. So, and you even had the Goldeneyes as your, well, if it can't be ours, I'd like to be them pick when it came to the World Cup. I did, and I stood by that. But yeah, so this is a bit of a shock. This is a big shock. Especially as how the Goldeneyes were able to salvage something from the wreckage. I mean, they did win the gold plan. They got the first overall pick. Kai. We are not too long away from finding out if you're right or not, my boy. We are not too long away from that. The thing with Vancouver that was interesting is they kind of remind me of what PWHL York were in the knuckle season. Yeah, they got cooking towards the end. And a few more games might have done a while good. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we said it was the homestand, and we're going to talk more about it. We do report cards late in the summer. We'll talk more about them. That homestand they had coming out of La Cortina is ultimately what broke it for them. If they've got 1 or 2 extra points out of that, then you might have a better chance of putting yourselves in position to qualify. So, anyway. Right, so Vancouver Goldeneyes general manager Cara Gardner-Murray released the following statement regarding the team's head coaching position. This is what it says. As we conclude our inaugural season and evaluate the future direction of the organisation, we have made the decision to make a change at the head coaching position. Brian Adarsky joined the Goldeneyes prior to the team's first season in Vancouver, a role that offers unique challenges and opportunities. His leadership and experience helped establish the foundation of our organisation during its inaugural year. We thank Brian for his professionalism and commitment to the Vancouver Goldeneyes and wish him all the best moving forward. And And then the news article, it's a very short news article on Vancouver's website, but it then finishes by saying about how Vancouver finished its inaugural season in 6th place in the Professional Women's Hockey League standings with 37 points and an overall record of 9-3-4-14. The Goldeneyes only first pick in the 2026 PWHL draft after finishing first in the league's goal plan standings. So, bit of a shocker, yeah. Bit of a real shock, yeah, because, you know, especially how he's just got a new job with Czechia. Yeah, because obviously he will be taking over from Carl McLeod on Team Czechia on the national scene. So, and we've already done an episode on that. That was also a bit of a shock move as well. Let's go check that out. I mean, he didn't do that bad. No, I mean, you know, of the 3 hires last year, he was the one we had the least critique of because we saw his credentials. Yeah, we saw his credentials. He also, of course, did coach Team China in the last Olympics before Milan Cortina this year. So we looked at it and thought, okay, well, he's got the experience of coaching women's hockey that Chris Barr and Steve O'Rourke did not have. Yeah, we know. We all know what happened with Chris Barr. Yeah, we all know. Yeah, but anyway, just saying. Yeah. So we kind of looked at Brian Darski and thought, in terms of his resume, thought, okay, he's more qualified to be in this position, and he's the one we're going to focus the least on because we don't see a problem with him being that role. Now, and he has got a lot of experience under his belt coaching the women's team, so I think it's a real shock that he has now been out of a job. When really, you could have at least given him one more opportunity. Yeah. I mean, especially how they have the first overall pick. I mean, if Vancouver didn't win the gold plan, I could absolutely see a justification for doing this move. But because they won the gold plan, and looking at who is in that draft, is it wise to do that? Well, it's kind of what New York did in the... Yeah, but the circumstances were different. Because Alex Carpenter led a coup. Did you? Yeah. Yeah, apparently Alex Carpenter led a coup to get rid of PHL New York's coach in the knuckle season. Yeah. So that's what happened. Yeah. But obviously they paid it as it was mutual party ways, but of course it wasn't. She led a coup. But it's very similar to what happened there. You know, in the knuckle season, New York got rid of their coach despite having the first overall pick and had a generational player coming along their way. Vancouver got rid of their coach despite having the first overall pick and a generational player coming their way. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be interesting to see how Vancouver did in the draft first before you then go and make a huge decision like this. Yeah, I mean, if it's a team like Seattle that absolutely needs to make the move far, of course, I've already done thoughts on that. Yeah. I think you two did join me as well for that, did you? Yeah, we did. Yeah, so we've all credited that one. That's just been recently published. But for the team like Seattle, obviously you could obviously see why they did it before the draft. But for Vancouver, yeah, at the end of the day, the Goldeneyes were competitive for a good portion of the season. I mean, I know their record doesn't speak to that, but there were large portions where the Goldeneyes were theoretically and mathematically were in with a chance of making playoffs. But you always looked at that and thought, right, well, the only way you're going to get in is if you finish fourth, if you come fourth, which likely could have been doable. And then we know what happens then when it comes to playoffs for the 4th place teams. Anyway, look, I mean, we're wearing the evidence. But yeah, I just feel, I don't want to make of it because I kind of feel this is a guy that I don't think was given a fair hearing, wasn't given a fair chance or a fair opportunity to really make something out of this. Yeah, I just feel like it's just jumping the gun too soon. Yeah, I think it is. And could we maybe see a case, because there's a lot of coaching vacancies now in this league now, guys. Bloody hell. I know. Bloody hell. I mean, Troy Ryan, what have you done? What have you done, Troy Ryan? Because you've set this off. You've set this off. Him getting made GM and coach to San Jose has pretty much, and I'm about to quote Steps here. There we go. It's pretty much caused a chain reaction here, guys. I did wonder which Steps song were you about to quote. But we are literally in the middle of a chain reaction. Because not only did he got this new position in San Jose, you then have Steve O'Rourke gets fired. Then you have Chris Spa moving from Boston to Hamilton. And now Vancouver has also fired the gun. So you've got now 4 teams in the PWHL that all need new coaches. That is a quarter of the league, guys. That is a quarter of the league that now needs new coaches. And please be women. And it's good. Please be women. Please hire girls. Don't hire boys. I knew she was gonna go there. I knew she was gonna put it there, sister. Put it there. Put it there. Not the full shape. Just do that. Put it there. I knew she was gonna go there. We need more girls. I know. We need more girls. Please, somebody just offer Jessica Campbell a massive contract to make her come to the PW. Someone do it. Yeah. Give her an offer she can't refuse. Go all Godfather on her. Like, Pluto just did in a recent episode where we're talking about the EFOs. Yeah. Okay. You know, just, yeah. I knew they was going to go there because I too share opinion. You know, we need to have more, you know, women's coaches in this league. And of course, obviously, you know, we've obviously been a part of the league from day one, so we can remember a time when the balance was actually 50-50. Because in the first season, you had Boston, Montreal, and Ottawa had female coaches, and then obviously the balance of power shifted not long after season 2, which we can't expect it when you added 2 new teams to the fold. But so far, Detroit's hired a man, Hamilton's hired a man, and San Jose's hired a man. So it's always like, did you not even bother to watch the episode we did last year about the coaching situation, how we need more girls in coaching? Shit. Anyway, no, so I get why. Right, but I could see, like how obviously Chris Spa switched from Boston to Hamilton, I could easily see maybe one of these 4 teams that need coaches. I could maybe see them, you know, go for Brian Darski because he has got a lot of experience coaching women's hockey. And that's something that we need in this league. You can't just put him on the sidelines and he pops up once every year for the World Championships with Czechia. You can't put him in that scenario. Nah. So, Boston maybe? Or Seattle? Because I've had a lot of rumblings in Tia, but various names being put around, so I'm not sure we get there. But yeah, I could see he does switch to a different team. The question is, though, would he be better if he was with a different team? That's the question I've got. But I don't think it'd happen. Yeah, because when you have a guy like this who's got a lot of experience coaching with hockey, you really need that on a PWHL roster. You need to have that in this league. So if he's not going to be with Vancouver, then would you dare say he stays in the Pacific Coast and just goes to Seattle? Takes a bus. Takes a bus, drives to Seattle. Easy, no problem. Or could he maybe go to Boston? But I'm not sure how Boston would feel about that, given how... Well, it's still shit. It's still shit. You will not hear me give sympathy to the Boston Fleet. You will not. You could hold on to him. That's your problem. That's your problem, okay? Okay? We all know that the state of Massachusetts does not know the meaning of the word loyalty. And you will have the balls to say it for a Reese Price group, will you? Oh, I fucking will. We'll see on it with next term. We'll see how he feels about that. But it's just carnage. Carnage in Boston right now. It's carnage. Yeah, so I do think, it's a bit shocking that Brad has been let go. I do think that he will find a new home somewhere. Obviously, he's now with Czechia's national team, but I can't see a coach like that being basically forced out of the league, like, full stop. Surely he's got to find a new position elsewhere. So maybe, probably Boston or Seattle, maybe, because I have heard a lot of names people put around for Tio, and there's also a rumor about what's going to happen with Las Vegas, so you can't take those two teams out of the equation. It does also make you wonder, who's Vancouver going to get? Oh yeah, that's a question. Yeah. That's a question. Because really, when you think about it, if anybody could do the GM coach dual role, it would be Cara Gardner-Moro, but I don't think that's going to happen. No. Don't think that's going to happen. No. Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. I mean, just what a shock. I know, right? And such bad timing. Because right now, we're all focused on the expansion process. I know. We're all focusing on the expansion process. The last thing is somebody else having a coaching switch. I know. So, of the current teams, who's most likely still going to keep their coach from this season, apart from us? New York, us, New York, Montreal, Ottawa. That's it. Yeah. So half the league next year will still have the same coach they had last year. Yeah. It's crazy because this is the sort of thing you normally see in the AHL, because honestly, but during the season, and what's been great about the PHL is we've had a lot of stability when it comes to coaching, because obviously it's been one of hockey. Coaching is a very cruel game. I have the utmost respect to anybody who wants to go for a coaching job in hockey, because you know it's not the most stable of jobs, and you know that you could be fired on the spot at any moment. So I think it's been kind of good that we've had a lot of stability with our coaching staffs in the PHL over the last three seasons. Yes, there has been one or two changes here and there, but not like a massive haul that we're seeing right now in the summer of 2026. Yeah. So, yeah. But clearly what we're seeing is, particularly with Seattle, Vancouver, we're seeing these teams realise, okay, if we want to put a footing in this league and establish ourselves as a strong franchise, we need to make the top decisions now. We need to make those decisions now. Not wait 5-6 months down the line. We need to do it now. And I honestly have the utmost respect for Seattle Vancouver doing that. And the GMs, they know what they're doing. They do know what they're doing, so... But it's just a bit of a shock, because I kind of felt, maybe Brian Adamski would be given maybe one last shot, would get a second go at it, and then if it's still not working, then you would fire the gun. What's interesting is whenever we had a coach change this season, it's always been during the off season. We've never had that happen during the season like you do a lot in the NHL. Yeah, but isn't that for the best? Given how painfully short our season is right now. Yeah, fair it is. You don't really, because our season right now is so painfully short in this league. You don't really have that runway to do what the NHL does, which is you fire someone midway through the season, and then somebody comes in, serves an interim period, and you like stay or go. But yeah, so it's crazy because this coaching overhaul is something you normally only get in the AHL, and now we're seeing it literally in the PHL, and it's all thanks to Troy Ryan who fired the starting gun. He literally burst that dam wide open when he took that job in San Jose. But since then, it's just been one after another. It's like, oh my god, you can't keep up with this. Anyway. But of course, when Vancouver does make their new coach hiring, we of course will be coming back up here to report it, and hopefully it'll be someone who is also reliable and capable in coaching a women's hockey team. We'll see. But yeah, it's just a huge shock to the system, especially how it came so late last night. In the end, the morning. I know. Just, oh my god. And that's what I said, you know, the focus right now is on the expansion process. We are currently in the midst of the expansion process, so the last thing we need right now is to have this. Oh, my head's I know. Yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy that this happened. Yeah. No, just. But I think maybe this is gonna be my final point. Okay. I think the Goldeneyes are hearing the fan raucous about how this team should be a World Cup contender. You, George, have put it on the record. You know, in the run last season, you put on the record that you feel if the team doesn't get the World Cup in the local season, they'll get it within the first 5 years of their lifetime. Yeah. So we're looking at what, 2030, 2031? Yeah. Yeah, I just. So obviously, you know, if you checked any episodes we did last summer about Vancouver, Lady just couldn't stop singing their praises. I couldn't. I was blown away. Yeah. Because obviously every single move they made was a really smart move. Yeah. And I also looked at that roster after the expansion person and thought, okay, on paper, this does look like a roster that could compete and win the World Cup and become the second team in PWHL history to win the World Cup in their first year. Okay. But unfortunately, when it got to actual games, the actual puck drops, it didn't, you know, come together. It didn't click. The lines didn't gel. Same with Seattle. But I think with Vancouver, the issues were more obvious to see than they were with Seattle. Particularly some of those early road games for the Goldeneyes, like that one in Boston, where the shot cut was just, just abysmal. Yeah. So I think Vancouver's recognised, okay, fans aren't happy. They know they seem to be aiming higher, and thought, right, let's do it. Let's make the switch and see what happens. Let's see what happens. As we saw this season, it doesn't hurt to give it a go. No. Chris Barr's hiring pretty much has basically changed the game on how we look at new coaches coming in to the league. Because chances are they could basically, you know, send this team on a path to potential playoff glory. And I bet he's wondering, where did it go wrong in that series against Ottawa? Because Boston did look like on paper they were shooing for World Cup hours. I remember a lot of people in the run to the playoffs were suggesting, is it going to be Big 12 Fleet in the finals? And I was like, hold on a minute. Are you sleeping on Ottawa? Are you guys sleeping on Ottawa? You called it. Yeah, I did. You called it. I did because I know not to sleep on the Ottawa charge. I mean, we saw it last year's playoffs, like how Ottawa very nearly could have beaten us that cup. Ottawa gave us for a good run for their money last year. And then he sent you to casualty. Was game 1 the only time that you didn't have to restart my heart? Yeah. Okay. There you go. Yeah. Anyway, I agree with my Lord over here. Yeah, I did call this year's matchup in the finals. But because I knew not to sleep on the Ottawa charge. I knew Montreal was going to pick us, and I knew Ottawa had a very good chance of getting to the finals again, especially how Montreal basically let them go and play Boston, and of course, Ottawa the regular season, you look back at the regular season statistics, Ottawa did better over Boston. So, there you go. But I bet Chris Barr's wondering, what did I need to have done to maybe got us over the line? About game 3 still haunts him. Because because of how late Ottawa got that game winner. Yeah. It was about, 30 seconds away from going to overtime? Yeah. Roughly that, and then Omicron out of nowhere, gets the game winner. Yeah, that was a thriller. So Lee, you kind of done her thoughts. So you got more thoughts you want to say before I sign off? I'm so baffled by this, because I'm like, well, he wasn't a bad coach. And who are you now going to be able to find to replace him? That's what I'm so bamboozled. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've got enough, and I know what you mean, we've got enough places to worry about it in the next few weeks, but, So there you go. So yeah, so Brian Darski's gone. Hopefully this is not the last one, because I do think a coach like that should be in our league. If he's got so much experience and can coach women's hockey full stop, we can't let that just go to the wayside. So, maybe Boston or Seattle, maybe want to go and pick up the phone to Brian Darski, give him a call if he's interested. Yeah, so this was a huge shock. Especially, of course, the focus right now is on the roster building process. Now, I feel that's a good reminder. If we get any news elsewhere in the league between now and June 17, it's going to be a bit of a shock, because our minds are focusing purely on the expansion process now, which will go into the draft as well, because obviously Phase 5 is going to happen June 16 and June 18. So these phases don't wrap up before the draft. They're going to be wrapping up after the draft. So, yeah. Anyway. So it's a bit of a shock to the system, but we'll see what happens. And of course, like I said, when we get the news about Vancouver's new coach, we will of course bring that to you guys. But for now, thank you for joining us. Till next time, take care, guys.